Well, thank you very much. If you're just joining us, we are coming to you live from Broadcasting House, where we're now into the second hour of BIZ Check. The first hour is down, where our conversation revolved around educational innovation and scholarship. You remember, we're keeping an eye on what's happening in St. Petersburg in Russia, where the second Africa-Russia summit is taking place, and some of the conversations that are expected to take place there include security as well as food security in Africa, bearing in mind that just last week Russia pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal, which was brokered by the United Nations and Turkey, which sought to make the price of grain competitive around the world, and this is expected to exacerbate the cost of grains around the world. So we are keeping an eye on what's happening there, and of course, remember, President William Ruto is expected to visit various parts of the coast to appraise himself with the infrastructural developments that are taking place there, and our reporters are down there. Well, we are back in studio. Our next conversation revolves around digital agriculture. Joining me in the studio is Lewis Njoroge. He's the CEO of Kilimogram. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much as well for hosting us.
And Agustin Moi is also the Chief Finance Officer at Kilimogram. Asante sana for joining us.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to start with Lewis. Help us understand, what is Kilimogram?
Kilimogram is an online social marketplace that empowers small-scale farmers in Kenya by connecting them to B2B markets such as schools and hospitals, by linking them to support service providers such as financial services and extension services, and lastly by providing them with information on issues pertaining to farming and the agricultural sector, such as we have market prices and rainfall and other patterns. Yes.
What is the definition of a small-scale farmer?
We usually define a small-scale farmer per the acreage on where they're farming, and anything below 5 acres is that farmer ranks as a small-scale farmer. Yes.
And statistically speaking, I mean, almost 80% of Kenyans, Kenyan farmers, they fall under that category.
That's very true.
Very good. And let's turn now to Moi. You're from Tanzania, and here you are, using technology, to link farmers with suppliers and creating linkages for farmers. How is the experience for you?
So far so good. First of all, I've been born and raised here, mostly raised by my mom. My dad was from the Tanzanian side, but I've been educated, gotten all my experience here, just looking to make an impact in the country.
So you're more Kenyan than Tanzanian?
Yes.
Very well. And so how did you end up, in this space?
Immediately after campus, Lewis and I, we interned at Twiga Foods. So being exposed to the ecosystem, got to talking during our shifts, did our research, just picked our interest more and more. And before we knew it, we set out on a project. First of all, some desktop research. I eventually ended up listing a small farm in Nanyuki just to test out the theories. 1 and 2 years we were doing the field research, then eventually ended up on agreeing to start a platform on the same. It's an incredible learning process. We're still creating.
So you had a pilot program?
Yes.
In Nanyuki?
Yes.
Okay. What were you growing?
Hay. Hay.
Hay?
Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting. I've never had young people thinking about venturing into hay farming. How is it, by the way? Was it a good business venture?
Well, it was an incredible learning lesson.
But we failed.
You burnt your fingers?
Yeah,
You didn't make hay where the sun was shining?
Yeah, imagine we didn't. We did not, because we faced those challenges that smallholder farmers face, and we faced them firsthand. In that, when we were starting, we didn't know where we could get, farming machines. We didn't know where we could get a good water source. We were actually learning on how to farm hay as we were going. And on top of that, we hadn't really studied the season at the moment, so we were kind of expecting the rains. We did it around July to August, we were kind of expecting, the rains, and then we also need a drying season after you harvest hay, so that you just leave it to dry out. Then again, that's when it was starting to rain.
I think you looked at
So
it
you were
more
doing
as,
things the wrong way.
Yes.
But the concept was good.
Yes, it was.
We actually wanted to learn while you were doing it. So in our books, it was a success.
It was a success.
Yes.
Because you
Actually,
ended up
but
failing. The failure was also part of the learning process.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why do you think you failed?
It's because we went through the same process as any other smallholder farmer goes through. We didn't do enough research when we started farming the hay. So, as I've told you, we didn't check the seasons. And on top of that, the research that we did on how to farm hay was purely, online. We didn't go to talk to an extension service provider, someone who can take us through the step-by-step process and how to do it. And on top of that, even our research on the market, where can you take this hay? It was more of information. You didn't get all the information you need to farm the hay.
So you got into this business without arming yourself with the right information.
Yes.
Was it deliberate?
In a way, yes.
In a way, yes.
Yes.
Because you wanted to fail so that you can learn.
Yeah.
Was your failure good?
Okay, eventually it was good. We didn't want to fail because, you're still using a lot of capital on it. But, it kind of showed us the challenges that smallholder farmers go through. And that's when we steered towards now creating the platform, because we realized, okay, now if you're going through these things, then there may be other smallholder farmers who are going through the same. So,
how much did you invest?
around 250,000.
That's $250,000 shillings.
Yes.
Which year was this?
That was in 2020.
2020, at the height of COVID-19.
Exactly.
Wow. So did you fail because of the pandemic, or did you fail because you didn't take time to plan?
It was mostly because we didn't take time to plan, and also the fact that we were a bit far away because we were still working at Twiga. So we had like our team there who were farm managers at the farm, but we couldn't travel as much to see what's going on. So that also contributed to the failure.
Who came up with the idea of hay farming?
Yeah, that was me. I'll take responsibility.
That was you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how did you end up, with hay farming instead of, the usual stuff, beans, tomatoes, potatoes?
Yeah, I think it was just about accessibility of the piece of land. We got it at a good rate. Then asked around, just desktop research, where does what is mostly farmed in Nanyuki. First thing was, hey, then let's try it. There has to be a reason for doing it there. Yes, that's how we ended up.
That's how you ended up, doing hay farming. Would you still do it?
Oh yeah, still planning to do it with what we know now. We've definitely established more contacts. There are lessons we picked, like for instance, from the challenges we're facing. Like at first, even to get a tractor, to lease a tractor from some place to our land was a bit hectic. That's where we were feeling like, let's try and digitize this. Let's sign up, people owning tractors here, so that you can easily just get it through your phone, because you had to know someone who knows someone to get a tractor. And even then, you feel like you're being a bit overcharged. So just wanted to bring some bit of sanity to that entire farming process. Getting inputs from seeds, fertilizers, it was always a lot of phone calls, a bit hectic. So just trying to streamline the whole process. We have definitely learned, and we can definitely do better.
And of course, bearing in mind that hay farming is capital intensive.
That's true.
So what lessons have you picked along the way that you are going to use, and what would you do differently?
For one, besides now getting all the information, you also saw the need that if you're doing farming, you have to be there. It's not something that you can do when you're in Nairobi. Say you have to at least make a point of going to your farm at least once in a week or two, That way you'll be able to
2 times
actually
a
see.
week.
Yeah, 2 times in a week. That way you'll be actually be able to see.
What if you had to install CCTV cameras? Would that help?
But that's not all, because you know.
So your physical presence is very
Your physical
much
presence is, because it's like you need to kind of form a bond with the plants themselves. You know, you go and see. This is what's, you know, you kind of, if you're doing tomatoes, you go and check the leaves. You know, you see, is there any Tuta absoluta? Are there any whiteflies? Like that presence is, you know, very important.
It has to be very involving.
Yes.
And that is one lesson that people ought to understand, that you know, for any business to thrive, you must really get involved into it. And I'm also saying this, you know, because I'm also involved in other businesses, and this is one aspect of failure, you know, that we encounter. That you think you can go, you start your hotel business in, let's say, Nanyuki, and then you come back to Nairobi and you expect, you know, to get profit at the end of the month. Every business, when it is young, before you develop, you know, proper strategies, proper systems, you must be there. And forget about you talking about twice a week. It requires you to be there on a daily basis, because it's just like a small baby that you're trying to bring up. And you really have to ensure that, you know, the baby is well bathed, the baby is well fed. Is the baby showing any signs of illness or anything like that? Did the baby have enough sleep? I mean, it is very engaging, and that is one lesson that we must appreciate, that for anybody who is planning to get into business, whatever form of business, your presence, physical presence, is very, very important. What other lesson did you learn, Moyi?
Actually, I'd like, before we move on to the next point, I'd like my partner to talk about his experience with tomatoes, because he'd actually done that.
So got into tomatoes, eh?
Yeah.
Let's him put his thoughts together, and then we'll come to you.
What lessons we learned? I think from the whole experience, makes me think that we're kind of in the right space to drive change through Kilimogram. Because the main lesson, the main motivation we were doing it was to learn it firsthand, what are the challenges firsthand, and you know, and from end to end of the cycle. Yeah, so with all the lessons we've learned, we are trying to put that into a platform, you know, help the farmers and also our customers from an operations perspective and also from a system perspective. So we've been focused on building systems that will help the smallholder farmer. For instance, an extension of our service is you have a shop, a virtual shop, where you can manage your inventory end to end. I think that's why that's one lesson I picked from that. Let's try and digitize everything, so it's easy to manage a farm and also get any support that you need from around. Yeah.
We're very keen to hear about how you burnt your fingers through tomato farming. And I'm praying to the Lord to help me hold back my laughter, because I've had beautiful stories of how people, you know, have really gotten it wrong when it comes to tomato farming. So what is your story?
Yes, I'm one of those people. We also got it wrong. And we did it when I was in third year. That was in 2018. It was through the KCB Foundation program. You know, they're still doing it now, and it's a very amazing program where they train the youth on agribusiness, and then they partner. You're told to partner as a group of between 5 to 10 people, during which now you're given a grant or a loan, like a soft loan of say 500,000 to $1 million, and given the land, even given the extension, someone to help with the extension, you know, how to farm this. You're given the seedlings and pesticides. Now all you need to do is just ensure you get a good yield of the tomatoes. So for us, we did tomatoes after we went through the agribusiness management.
Where was
course.
this, by the way?
This was in Muthega.
Muthega, that's
No, we studied in Muthega.
County.
We studied in Muthega, but we farmed in Juja. In Juja. Darugo.
In Darugo.
Yes.
In Darugo, you have clay soil?
Yes, it's a mix of clay and
Rome.
Yeah.
clay
So
and loam soil.
it's good enough to
It's
farm,
good
but
enough for
either
farm-
way,
for
we weren't
tomatoes.
using soil.
Oh, you
It
are?
was, yeah, we weren't using soil. We were doing hydroponics farming.
Okay. Ah.
So you're using, they're called,
So that must have been a significant investment.
yes, it was, because it was a greenhouse, and then they're called punnets, those stones for that you use in hydroponics farming. And now the setup itself, it cost quite a lot. Yeah.
On average, I mean, like, what's your estimate? How much did you invest in it?
Around 800,000.
800,000.
But then again, yeah,
That is for 1 year.
it was through now the loan that
Now
we
through
got,
the loan.
the 1 million, and 400 of it was used to set up the greenhouse itself and
The
that
infrastructure.
hydroponic system. Yes, and now around 60,000 for the seedlings, and now the rest was more of the management. By the time we did it for 6 months, we had to buy the pesticides. We had to even at least pay ourselves some remuneration, the transport fee, because Darugo is quite far.
And then you sat back, you waited for the tomatoes to ripen.
And they did. They did, only that now we were so many greenhouses. 2 things caused our failure. The first one was the teamwork, because we were a team of 6, but then again we didn't know each other that well, to venture into farming together. And so you will find
The number
only
one
3
failure was teamwork. There was no teamwork.
Yeah, no teamwork. You'd find only 3 out of the 6 people were actually going to the farm.
50% of the workforce.
Yes, 50%. And we had a schedule where 1 person goes to the farm per day. I go, and then maybe since it's 6 people, 1 will go twice, and then you'll skip for like another 5 weeks, go twice again. But you'll find only 3 of us were going.
So teamwork failed you.
That was the first one. The second one was tuta absoluta.
Those are pests.
Pests, yes. Yeah,
But you talked about you buying pesticides.
yeah, they weren't strong enough. The tuta absoluta was
So you are using the wrong pesticides.
not so much. Okay, you see, tuta absoluta is, you need to prevent it before it comes, because once you get it, it's so hard to eradicate it from your farm. It's something you prevent before. So it's because we were so many greenhouses, and it was very easy to spread. If it was, you created in greenhouse 16, and someone walks around those greenhouses, we still had an extension service who was, and among other people, I want to go and see what's happening in greenhouse 2 and all that. So that's how it spread.
Yeah. So what happened?
After that, we had to fumigate, and then that's when we took a pause and let's first learn and figure it out before we go and spend another 500,000. Yeah.
So how much did you end up making from your harvest?
We made around 80,000.
80.
But it's only, we would have made a lot. It's only that now with the tutor there, the harvest was reducing by the week. We harvest 2 weeks, but we started off with 190 kgs on the first harvest. After that, we went to 120. After that, went to 80. Then 40. And
That's
eventually
how
had
your
to...
tomato business went up in flames.
Yes.
Do you still keep in touch with those guys?
One.
Yes. It's broke
Yeah.
your friendship.
Yes.
It happens, and that's why, the wisdom has always been never mix business with friendship, because one of the two is likely to disappear. Well, we'll be coming back, and of course now we'll be discussing the kilogram, and we basically wanted to understand how the idea was born and the knowledge application process. So now we brace yourself for more conversation around kilogram. We're in the company of Lewis Njoroge. He's the CEO of Kilogram, and Augustine Moi, who is the CFO or Chief Financial Officer. They're joining us here to help us put into perspective the conversation around digital agriculture. Well, we're back in the studio. Our conversation revolves around digital agriculture. If I can give you some statistics, about 30 to 35% of Kenyan agriculture is conducted through digital space. And so we are in the company of Lewis Njoroge. He's the CEO of Kilimogram, and he's joining us here. They have already shared with us the experience in business, and he's also accompanied by Chief Financial Officer. This is Augustine Moye. Now, let's discuss more about Kilimogram. You are telling us that, this concept of digital platform, started after you learned the hard way in business. And so what have you managed to do in the 3 years that you have been in service, Augustine?
So we've been able to directly work with around 300 farmers, served around 120 customers. Gross merchandise value of the sales should be around 1.7 M, but these are, let say for the last 1.5 years, we spent the first 1.5, as I mentioned, just doing research, both desktop and on the ground. Yeah.
Underground. And so how many farmers have you managed? So first of all, before I even got to how many farmers you have managed to link up, so what exactly do you do?
Let me start with the market side. We connect small-scale farmers to B2B markets, that's schools and hospitals. And
would you mind to simplify, and tell people what is B2B?
Oh, yeah.
This is not an executive forum.
Okay, yeah, B2B, that segment is for companies or other organizations that buy to sell or that buy to conduct business. That's B2B, it's business to business.
Very well. So you connect farmers with suppliers?
Yes.
With credit finance institutions? Do you do that?
Yeah.
As well?
Yes, we do that. Only for the support services section, we do it through partnerships.
Through partnerships.
If I can give you
with
an
financial institutions?
Yes, that's still in the making. We haven't fully ventured into it because we realized that the one thing that farmers want more than anything else is the market. So for the support services, we'll approach, say, a SACCO that provides loans to small-scale farmers, and now we formulate an agreement with them whereby we'll tell you, we'll give you the farmers. Now you have the farmers, you want to offer credit to them now. Why don't you work with us to get towards those farmers? During now we just make our campaign.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe just to beef that up, there are a lot of things we can offer the small scale farmer. We decided let's focus on the core thing right now, which is market. So basically what we do, we will seek the demand, send our salespeople to collect orders for certain products, and then on the back end we are talking to farmers who are close by, just so that we minimize on the operational costs over there. Consolidate the products, ship. But before that, we have handled the pre-negotiations. We'll talk to the procurement officer there, how often do you need these products, in what volumes. We talk about credit period, if any, or the payment terms. Yeah, then negotiate the same with the farmer, have the order placed. Everything goes on through the site. Just to ensure efficiency. We kind of take charge of the logistics involved and handling of the cash. Yes.
And so I'm sure you go through through a process. You take farmers, through a process before you onboard them. Is that what you do?
Yes.
So what do you look for in a farmer?
We look for, first of all, the seriousness. I want to call it seriousness because we found farmers who, like you say, you just have mint, but you're not conducting farming seriously, whether in whichever extent. So that's the one thing we look for. We look for, acreage. We'd like to know your location.
What is the minimum acreage?
5 and
acres.
below. Yes.
Or 5 and below.
5 and below. We are not closed off to anyone who has more. As long as you're looking for market, it's okay. But for most times, we work with small scale, and they usually have 5 acres and below. Yes, and we look for the seriousness. So we'll ask you, like, how long have you farmed?
How long should I have farmed?
At least say 2 seasons. 2 seasons
So that's
moving
about 1
forward.
year.
Yeah, that's about a year. Yeah, but then again, as I've told you, we are not closed off because we also want to accommodate someone who wants to learn farming. Now with that, with such a person, we'll more of work with you on all the steps, not just offering you the market, because we've gone through the farming process, and if you're starting off, there is more to learn on the support services side than on the market. Yes.
Do I pay anything as a farmer to join the platform?
No, you don't pay anything. The listing is free, the onboarding is free. The marketing now, we'll just add our markup from your price, from the gate price that you give us. We'll make our money through the we'll mark up and then deliver to the customer.
So I've gone through the screening process and I am suitable, to join their platform. So what happens next, Moi?
Once we've listed you on the platform, set up your virtual shop, we take it upon ourselves to market your products. So through our social media, and as I mentioned, even we all have salespeople on the ground. So close to you, we will send salespeople to look for orders close to you, or even distant, doesn't matter, as long as we have an MOQ that makes sense for us to transport that. So as soon as your products are listed, marketed, if you do get an order, you are notified through email or an SMS, or someone will call you. Then we facilitate the transportation of the product. Once the payment is processed, depending on the terms, get our cut, then send the rest to you. Normally within 48 hours, that's ideally, but then it's business. Can find the client is once a credit period of around 2 weeks, so it's just about, it's a balancing act over there.
So let's, for example, take the example of Njoroge. He decided to venture into tomato farming, and he's successful. He has gone through the screening process and he's qualified, and you sign a contract with him. His tomatoes are listed on your website?
Yes.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
So then you help in the marketing aspect of it.
Yes.
And so how is the pricing model?
The pricing, the farmer gives us their price. We don't dictate a price for them.
So it is up to me to tell you.
It's up to you to tell me.
I'm selling my tomatoes a kilo at 100 shillings.
Yeah, but then again, we'll also, this is where now the information comes in. We'll tell you, this is the market price of tomatoes. And mind you, we won't just work with that one farmer. We'll ask you, this is the price, and this is the price that the customer is willing to take with. No. Now, let's negotiate from that point. See, so our goal is not to oppress the farmer by dictating the price to them. It's more of like, let's be reasonable. Give me a good price, and I'll give you sustainability with that particular customer.
Just to add on to that, I mean, the idea is just let the forces of demand and supply kind of
play their part.
Play their part. Willing buyer, willing seller. If you feel the products are worth this price and you list them, you get a customer, well and good. We're not really looking to control the price, just to offer someone a virtual shop.
So within the supply chain pipeline, on one end you have the farmer, and then on the other end you have the buyer. So you are the intermediary, right? So as a farmer, how do I know that the prices that you are offering me is the best?
Through the information that we'll give you like the market price of all the, at least most of the markets in Nairobi. And I know that there are for example, tomatoes, that price changes a lot. And you'll find that today it's 100 per kg. On Friday should be around 50. And so our goal is to give you a minimum guarantee price, whereby we may not be able to change it all the time, but if you give us the tomatoes at 60 shillings per kg, regardless of whether the price goes up or down, you'll work with this customer for the next 3 months. So
for you, you get your 60 shillings, regardless of whether the market swings up or down?
Yes, the goal is to at least give them a minimum guarantee price, because then again, we're working with schools, and they're not so open to, we renegotiate the terms after every 1 week. It's too much for them. So
what is your markup percentage, Mr. CFO?
Okay, right now ranging around 10 to 15, depending on
10 to
the
15%.
specific, depending on the specific dynamics of the relationship you're building. What farmer, what customer.
So let's put
the relationship's always it's not cast in stone. It may differ. Sometimes you may have a customer who wants, let's review the prices every weekly because I'm also running a business. I may differ. Cast in stone, 10 to 15 is our average.
So let's, for example, take say that Joroge is farming his potatoes, or his tomatoes in Juja, and you have a client in Nanyuki. And of course, the market dynamics will change because Nanyuki is like almost 400 kilometers from Nairobi, and so the tomato prices in Nanyuki will differ from tomato prices in Nairobi. So how do you deal with a price differential?
Okay, actually, first of all, the idea is to order from someone near you. So when you come to make an order, you have a geolocated in a way that you will see people near you, just to you'll be exposed to a bit familiar prices. The logistics cost will be down. But if you do have a specific farmer who's a bit far away, you want to work with, we will facilitate that, handle the price negotiations, depending on where both parties feel comfortable. With the logistics price factored in.
And so, for example, you're talking about you have entered into a partnership with learning institutions. This will be schools. So you go and negotiate on behalf of the farmer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the farmer has given you that this is the minimum price. I'm willing to sell my tomatoes. So it's up to you now to go and approach the school, pitch your price, and of course factoring in your markup, right?
Yes.
So the school pays to who? Does it pay to you? Now,
yes.
And then you pay to the supplier.
Yeah, the school pays to us, and then after that we pay the farmer after the delivery, within the period of 24 hours. But now that is there's also an issue of trust there, because for the first 2 or 3 orders, we have to finance it from ourselves, from our pockets, because there's some distrust, in the agricultural community in terms of, most farmers will not. I can't just come. If I have the tomatoes and you want to buy, you'll have to pay at the gate. You get, because we've realized that a lot of farmers have been burnt a lot, with some credit negotiation, and someone just refuses to pay. So it's more of building the trust first. I'll finance the first few orders, and then after the third order, now I'll come to you and say, okay, you've seen that we'll pay you on time, and we are serious about supplying to this school. Now, would you give us a 3-day or 3-day to a week credit?
So that's how it works.
Yes.
And so once the products have been bought, and as a farmer, I'll know that my products have been bought because I'm either the one who is going to deliver, or I'm going to deliver to you.
We're actually going to come for them.
Or you pick the tomatoes.
Yeah, but it depends on the negotiation. There are some farmers who are willing to bring somewhere close to us. So we just we had a small pack house, in Lokabete, but then again, mostly we work with drop shipping. So you just tell us, we just need you to prepare, and we'll send our team there to ensure the packaging is done right, and also the quality dynamics. If the customer wants large potatoes, we need our team to ensure that you're packing large potatoes. After you do that, now we just drop ship the order straight to the customer.
Yeah. And listening to your model, it's not significantly different from Twiga Foods, where you're working before.
Yes.
And so, Twiga Foods, it has such a huge, elaborate, supply chain network, and you're competing with a bigger player in this market. So why would anyone prefer to work with you over other established players?
We are really geared towards having impact on the smallholder farmer. So the idea is to, one, we have a wider range of products. We don't really, we don't really specify in bananas alone. As long as, we have a smallholder farmer who's willing to, switch from subsistence to commercial, we want to work with them throughout the journey. So if they want their soil tested, if you want know where to get seeds, what fertilizers to use, all the end. We're kind of geared towards working with a farmer throughout the entire journey. Smallholder farmers it's a really underserved market. I think 75 or 70% of agriculture is smallholder. But they're not getting the support they need. I think I was looking at some stats saying farmer in Kenya needs like 4x more land to produce the same maize that to being done in Europe. So it's a matter of, have a lot of people doing it, but maybe not doing it right. So the goal was to work with a smallholder farmer throughout to improve efficiency, productivity, and for the smallholder farmer just to boost their income.
Mm-hmm. So as a CEO of Kilogram, when you're making your pitch to the farmer, what is your selling point?
The first one is we have the demand, which we actually do have the demand.
You have demand?
Yeah, we work with a demand-driven model, whereby, when we started, there was this chicken-egg issue. If I go to a farmer, I'll have to assure them demand. If I go to the customer, I'll have to assure them of the supply. So our model, now we're a bit better at it because we do have the farmers, but we work with a demand-driven model whereby I go first to the customer. Establish your needs, establish your procurement needs, what products do you want, which ones do you struggle with getting, and how can we help you. Now with that information, if I know you take 100 kgs of tomatoes per week, or say like 400 trays of eggs per 2 weeks, now with that information, I'll go and search it for the farmer. So it's a bit easier to get the farmer if you already have the demand. Now that's when the negotiation starts on, which day we need to do the deliveries, how we'll handle the price negotiations, payment terms negotiations, and all that.
Mm-hmm. Do you only sell to institutions, or do you also deliver to homes?
We did do homes, but it's really, really hectic.
Why is it hectic?
Because they're not the right match for the farmer. You see, the farmer, most farmers want, when they're selling, and the reason why they find brokers so attractive is because they want to sell in bulk, and they're farming a little, say like 2 or 3 products in their 1 acre. Mm-hmm. But now the customer, the household, wants a little bit of everything. You see? So like when we do get orders from households, they'll source from many farmers. So you'll find an order, there's the customer, the household wants tomatoes from a farmer in Limuru, and then spinach from a farmer in Thika. The logistics is going to be insane. So we just steered away from B2C.
And of course the markups, one would want to imagine the margins are much better if you're working with big institutions.
Yeah, even
because they order in bulk.
Yeah, even the relationship, because now with institutions, you build trust with them, and you'll get to work with them for like 6 months, and it's constant. It's the best way to build sustainability for the farmer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which product they offer the best markups? For us internally, at the moment it's eggs. Eggs?
Yeah. We have a couple of customers who buy a lot of trays. Say something.
And a lot would be how many?
1,200 trays per month.
Wow, 12,000 trays per month.
No, 1,200, not 12,000.
Oh, 1,200.
Yeah, which with that information now, it's very easy to negotiate with a farmer, since we'll tell them we'll be taking 300 trays per week from you. Now, instead of selling for 80 shillings per tray, why don't you give us for 10? Because we'll basically be taking all your eggs. consistently.
Consistently.
Yeah, it's more of the, like we usually encourage the farmer to not view the short-term profitability, for longer-term sustainability. Like we'll ensure you of income for like the next 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
I think that's where the relationship comes in handy, because the particular farmers we're talking about haven't. We are aware there have been a lot of price changes, but they have been, since they are assured of certainty whether the products will move, they really haven't been changing that a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I can say we're almost coming to the tail end of this conversation. What is your message to the young people? Because I mean, you're within the age bracket of young people. What is your message to the young people who are watching this program and they're wondering how can they get into this space? Let's start with Moi.
Well, one, I'd like my my counterparts to not view agriculture as a retirement plan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are good returns, if done right. And as I see the future of agriculture in Kenya, it's going to be a bit more commercial, more efficient, eco-friendly. So there is a lot of future in agriculture in the country, given, with the policies supporting it. It's going to be profitable. So again, there are also a lot of companies like us who are really driving change, pushing for impact. So it's time that, all of us joined in, because it is the future, and there are people like us who will help you navigate the ecosystem.
Very good.
Yeah.
Joroge. Yes, my advice to young people who want to venture into farming or business is, first of all, you won't go wrong when it comes to agriculture. You may go wrong once or twice, but as long as you arm yourself with the right information, mm-hmm. and team up with the right people and be consistent and don't give up, you will crack that industry. Because agriculture, farming is the way to go at the moment. It's mm-hmm. just that a lot of young people steer away from it because it seems really laborious, and also it doesn't look good,
mm-hmm.
But I can tell you, we have for the farmers we worked with, they make a lot, of income, because now they're the ones who've done it for a really long time, mm-hmm. and you just need to be patient, embrace the slowness, and you'll get there.
It is often said that agriculture will never be out of fashion, because as long as human beings are alive,
yeah,
they'll still eat.
That's true.
They'll still drink.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for finding time to be with us here, and we wish you all the best in your venture. Mm-hmm. And it's quite encouraging that you're part of the young people who are really revolutionizing the agriculture sector in this country. Because when you look at statistics, the average age of a Kenyan farmer is about 65 years, and so that is not a beautiful picture, to look at. And so we are encouraging more young people, to join the bandwagon and venture into agriculture. Thank you very much. Continue preaching the message.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
You see, let me tell you this, and this is a picker from the two gentlemen. Business is beautiful, very beautiful, but business is hard enough. It requires a significant amount of time, resilience, and hard work. And along the process, you must build a network of trust, because business that is not built on trust, it is not going to succeed. It is not going to thrive. And again, it has to be built on honesty. Honesty is critical in business. And number two, you must be in the right space and in the company of the right people. Because if you get it wrong, then you hate business. That is my wisdom for you this morning. Thank you very much. You have been watching this check. We started this. It's about 10. Now it's 3 minutes past 12. Remember, Kurunzi Mashinani is coming up next. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.